So we're live right now, right?
Yeah, we just went live. What's up, everybody? Here with Ryan. We're doing our open mic Friday. Like how that was entertaining to people. What that actually means is that who I had scheduled canceled on me, and this is our second week in a row. But we'll call it open mic Friday and make lemonade out of lemons. I am posting for everybody that wants to join to make it open mic. The StreamYard link, because you can't go back in StreamYard where you can in Zoom. Other than that, though, StreamYard's really been the better platform, I think. So give me a second while I go through and post in the different sections. Most of this stuff should be running live.
So what do we want to talk about today, Ian?
I don't know. What do you think happened via the COVID virus this week that is relevant, I think?
I guess we could kind of do almost a recap of where we think the message is from all of our guests that we had this week.
What was your take?
I think it's interesting, actually, for the first 30 days or so. We've said this before that there's kind of like it started off being fun, then it moved to a little bit of fear. And now we're starting to see a little bit of anger. I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily coming from our guests, so I guess I'm jumping a little bit here. But just what we see on social media, whether it's protests in Philadelphia, Wisconsin, there's all these states having it, and also just people debating with each other online, saying the government should open up, the government should not open up, right? Like people are starting the finger pointing. So.
Right. Yeah, I think, that was kind of, you just track like the social response is really what Facebook is. It's like a fantastic way to track social response to gauge the masses better than, the old way to do that is with like a Gallup poll, but you don't even need a Gallup poll to tell. It's like you just look at this and go, okay, where is everybody? And I think that's going to tell, it just gives the trajectory of patience for like society in general for how long we're going to sit and wait. I mean, even down to like our own mother, like texting me saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm frustrated. I want to go home.
Right.
Our mom represents the 50 plus generation that watches Fox News or CNN or whatever. People still get wondering, okay, what's this generation thinking? Well, great. You get that text and go, I want to be done with this. And you're like, they're not saying, which means somewhere in Fox News or CNN, they're starting to say stuff like, things are going to lighten up. And I think that's where the beginning of the week started, which was like, they were saying, I think Trump said something to the tune of like, the economy is going to start restoring itself, or there's different governors that have been talking about like a process to get this back on track where
the rollout plan. Yeah.
The rollout plan. It's good that there is even conversation about a rollout plan probably at this point, because that wasn't even a conversation 2 weeks ago. So then the question is, how does everybody respond to that? And some people were really mad. They're like, you kidding me? June, July? And then there was actually that link I sent you. There's people that are going to, I guess there's an organized march on the Capitol in Pennsylvania to reopen, a demonstration to reopen businesses, which, it's an aggressive play considering the stand-in order is no social distancing at a protest. That is something that can make for a wild scene if the government feels responsible to enact, take control of the situation, which it's weird because that's not just like the protest is directly defying the reason that they're at the protest to begin with. Right. So then, is the government going to let that get pushed to that situation? That's the stuff we were talking about a month ago that I think would look, the government is risking here to look horrible. It's a really risky thing to be able to let it come to this point where they're going to be forced with the decision. Do they turn on their own people? And
well, I mean,
if you're in the government and you're in the law enforcement and you turn on your own people, I was going to say F you, but that's off. But do not. Don't be that person.
I was gonna say the opposite of that, which is we should be thankful that we are allowed right now to protest.
That's true too.
In direct opposition of government mandated orders, and we are allowed to, right? So let's call it for what it is today. That this is not Nazi Germany, right? This is a free country, and yes, we are allowed to tell the government, hey, I don't agree with you. and we can do it legally. We can do it peacefully, right? I haven't heard of anyone getting hurt or arrested or anything like that. That said, if things were to get worse, let's watch. But as of today, good on our world, right? Or well, I should say U.S. because you know what, the entire world is not in the same boat as us. I don't know if this could happen in all countries, but it is happening in some places, right?
Yeah, that's true too. Right? That's true. Like we have the right to be on Facebook right now to have this conversation. That's a pretty good freedom to be appreciative of. So, but as far as I guess you're gonna push whatever you're given, right? So we're all gonna be like, I could have. The Kardashians have something to complain about, right? Like
right.
It's just the reality of human nature. So everybody's going to look for the next thing to kind of, do you take everything you have with a grain of salt or a silver lining or complain about it? So
I see you posted, you put on our feed here, comment from Josh Wyman. What's up, Josh? What do you think of Governor Wolf and the veto of his Senate Bill 614?
Jamie, look that up. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Josh, but
I'm sure it's important. Expand.
Yeah, gonna need some more information about this. All right, Governor. All right, now I have to. Can't believe we haven't hired somebody to do this for us. All right, I got to use Google myself. Governor Wolf.
Ian's StreamYard tip. I think if you have it clicked or something, because it's staying on our StreamYard right now, which is probably,
I can take it off. Yeah.
Right,
I was just leaving it up. So okay, wait, I got to put it back up to see what the hell I'm talking about. Hold on.
All right, so Ian's gonna. I almost called you jerky there. Ian's going to do some research on Josh's question here, so we can get back to the people. I'll do some airtime filling here. All right. 614 is a bill to put agents and contractors back to work. I assume that is what we were talking about. I mean.
Oh, you vetoed. Okay, so he's saying. Gotcha. Okay.
No going back to work yet.
So thanks, Josh, for not having me have to Google that. Perfect. So what do we think of that, man? I mean, I don't know. Here's the reality. Here's what I think. I honestly do. There are definitely people right now that I know actually more people than I'm comfortable with saying that have battled this and is it worse than the flu? Is it worse than the pneumonia itself? I don't know. I really have no idea, but I know it's not good. And I know that people can get, is an extra 2 weeks worth holding out for? Again, the repercussions economically, I don't know. Like, are people, the cure worse than the disease in the way that are people going to get depressed and you'll have collateral suicides and drug things and all this other stuff. Other people might die. I don't know what's better or what's worse, but I understand the logic and the thought process of waiting an extra 2 weeks. So we also don't have the repercussions of a fast rebound, or maybe quite frankly, this is stupid that we're doing this together and you need to let a virus run its course. Maybe the virus had to just run its course. I don't know. Maybe the way you get rid of a virus is let the herd immunity build up. I have no idea. I don't think anybody does.
No, and I think that the last statement there, nobody does, is the key statement, because you get people who are so heated right now, whether it's on Facebook or your news outlets, that are making statements as if they know for a fact XYZ will solve this solution, right? And the truth is nobody knows, right? It's everyone if you're in the industry, you're doing what you can with the information you have. That's all you can do, because it's a very real controversy that you have. You have do we get back to work now, or do we risk people getting infected and dying? Because that's it. It's 50-50 that, and nobody knows the right answer, because those who are, I was talking to my fiance last night and just saying, we're in an okay position right now because I'm in my apartment, I have food, I have water, right? I'm fine during this. My fiance works for the Coalition of the Homeless, and there's people there who don't have food, who don't have water. That's a reality for them. And you know what? They want to do something about it, such as go to work, go get food and money, and they're being told they can't. That is a very scary situation to be in from that side of things. So of course they're going to say, you have to let us go to work because we're going to die if you don't. So it's there's two sides of it, and both sides make sense in their own right. So
I mean, I guess fortunately or unfortunately, even in a pandemic world shutdown, it still heavily favors middle class people, like the way it's designed. That's what it is, like you're right. Like our sacrifice that you and I are quote unquote making pales in comparison to somebody that is like real life decisions they have to make here for like, I'm going to find food and water, and whether you're going to let me do it the way that society wants me to do it or not, I'm going to find it. Right. So you're going to be faced with that moment, because you're not going to just wait for the government to reopen and, die for something that you go out and get. I mean, that's where looting and stuff like that happens. Like people are like, how much of looting is like people, actually in a scenario like this, how much of it is just like people, not being able to control themselves and like trying to get TVs? I don't know. Like maybe it's more for survival purposes that
for sure
we're underestimating here, especially in this scenario.
Yeah. You're not going to see that on the news though. Right. But it is happening. Like, I mean, not necessarily the looting and whatnot, but I mean the fact that people are facing this daily decision of, how do I feed my family? I'm not like, I didn't get a stimulus check. Not that would probably be enough, but maybe enough to get you through the month, which is the point of it. But some of them who haven't gotten it, they're facing those decisions. So again, it's not something you see on media, because as you said, this is your middle class pandemic, right? That's what the media targets. So,
Yeah, I'm trying. You always try to put yourself in the shoes of somebody else to think like, what would I do? How would I handle this?
Yeah.
I think the government's fully aware, and I think anybody's aware. Like if anybody is pushed to that level, you're gonna take the steps that you have to take at whatever cost it is to, like if my kid has to eat, my kid will eat. Like I will find a way to, that's the deal. So, and I don't think anybody blames anybody for that. Like I wouldn't blame somebody at all for saying like, oh, you should have this, that, and it. Like, I get it. So
no, and I guess that's why I'm bringing it to attention on Facebook. Like, don't yell at each other. Don't say you're an idiot. Don't do that stuff, right? Like everybody's in different situations and different reasons. Try to be understanding. You can voice your opinion, whether or not you think we should stay in lockdown. I do notice people who are voting, hey, stay in lockdown, are probably people who have been either lost somebody or know somebody who's been impacted by it, versus those who are saying we need to get back to work, probably don't have that close relative that have been hit by COVID. So it's just perspective, but again, both sides are right and both sides are wrong at the same time. So it's very interesting. Either way, I'm glad I'm not a politician right now.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, and speaking of the person we were going to have on today is a politician, and his office emailed me and said it's just everything is moving so fast that it's subject to change at any given moment, which is more or less what happened today. I'm sure there's something going on for this weekend that he's got to be, that Hard Money Bankers webcast probably isn't a priority for him, but
maybe it goes out to real estate. It'd probably good for his people to see
what the agenda is. I mean, he's got an agenda. So Alan Dom was going to be on today, or he was committed to, and then something popped up. But one of the bills that he's trying to pass is relevant to the actual logistics of the money coming into the system. So great, we have all this stimulus money, but how are the counties going to receive it? How are the cities going to receive it? Like, and then when they receive it, how the hell are they going to disperse the money? And like, what's the actual plan with it? So local guys like Alan Dom, and I'm sure every district has guys like him, are coming up with bills to like say like, this is how we implement this money and this is how we get it to the people. And there was one that was real estate related with like businesses and banks and so forth that he was gonna talk about on the show today. So, and he's really, really good. Alan Dom always has like, when you listen to like his bill or whatever it is, it's always like, that makes a lot of sense. Like that's always what I think. I'm always like, that makes a lot of sense. I can't believe we're not doing it like that now. Like, how are we not doing it like that now? So and he's got a lot of that.
Yeah, you mentioned that he's going to be proposing solutions for the banks and whatnot. I want to talk about that. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here.
Okay.
And this is because of what we do. So we're lenders, we're private lenders. And I kind of want to bounce this off of you in the sense of, all right, I'm just going to ask you this as if like you're a bank. Why are you getting bailed out right now? Pretend you're a big bank. Why are you getting bailed out?
Well, so I let the beast get to, I did risky. If I'm getting bailed out, it's because I did risky loans, overextended myself, was well aware 10 years in advance that I'm so big that the government's going to do this anyway. And
that's my rant, is that all the taxpayers right now are paying for business that says I can do whatever I want because taxpayers are going to be giving me money. And there's no noise on this at all. Everyone's just okay with it.
Well, people complain so this happened in like 2008, 2009 too, which was like, so all it does is make a few headlines in a newspaper, like CEO gets $50 million bonus amid, bailout money. Right. And be like, oh, I hate that. A month later, you forget about it.
You forget about it. Yeah.
That's what happens. But yes, like in essence, and they know this going into the cycle, they're like, cool, like we're the quote unquote too big to fail. It's not too big to fail because we're so good. It's too big to fail because you have no choice. You have a choice. They basically have, just like we talked about with Trump having that bank by the balls yesterday, you have the same thing going today, which is, except they get to hold the whole country by their balls. So they go to the Fed, right. Your choice, like your move, collapse the economy or bail us out. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
That's it. Then they just say, call my bluff. And that's really, there's nothing else to it. And it's a shitty situation.
And there's no rules or stipulations put in afterwards. So it's like, they're just going to do it again. Yep. That's exactly how it's going to go.
There's no choice. As long as we continue to, honestly, as long as we continue to take loans and attach ourselves to that system, like we're feeding the system individually. That is what it is. Like we can't help ourselves because we want to move up in the world. We want to provide. We want to do this. We, keeping up with the Joneses feeling. Like banks know that feeling will always override you'd have to stop everybody at the same time going, cool. Everybody has to live in a shack, everyone. Right. And you can't move up, good luck trying to like configure this and move up in the world. So it's just like a necessary process of like the credit system in general, which, unless you destroy the dollar or change the credit system, who's controlling it. But even then you still are going to run into the same scenario. So even if you destroy the dollar but you still have a credit system in process, I don't really know how you stop. You have to stop the people doing the lending then from allowing people to get, so you have to stop the 580 credit scores, the 600 credit scores. You have to stop like human greed, which from being lent to, and you should really only be lending to like people with 700 or 800 credit scores over proven track records.
Which is what they do now for like
when they tighten it up
6 months.
But then it contracts the economy and you're like, oh, well, and then the greed takes back over. And it's like, well, we just like maneuver. Like, I don't think any individual has that whole plan in place. They're more like, well, we just statistically tweak this number by like 10 points and go from 680 to 670. It should increase the demand. And that seems harmless, right? And then here's this new product. Well, another bank sees that and goes, oh, they're doing this product. It seems low risk. We'll do this. And before you know it, it's like climbing its all. Yeah. And it just high risk loans. And then, so however many cycles we get on this dollar, that's going to, or this current credit world is going to repeat itself in this capacity every time.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in 2008, the whole country was up in arms saying $700 billion. Like it was a big deal, and it was months of people, yelling at each other, saying you're going to ruin the economy, you're going to, it's going to blah blah blah. This time it was like, boom, $2 trillion. Yeah, let's go. Woo.
Yeah, but I think after 2008 and 2009, that shock that it had on everybody was like, all right, there's no number that matters. Like they might as well said 200 trillion. Like it doesn't, like, I think that shock factor got taken out for people in general when like, I can't believe we're doing it for this number. Now it's just like, whatever. I also think that when we look at like, just like the way money moves between countries in the world, is that the $2 trillion is, so I'm sure the fear for the Fed is like, if we pump too much supply into the marketplace, the product becomes less valuable. But if we don't, if we have room to pump money in there, the United States can retain their power and their buying ability if it's not too much. So if you flood too much supply in, then everybody has dollars around the world, it has no value. But if it's like, look, we have room to do this, all that's going to do then is put a whole lot of pressure on the rest of the world. A lot of other countries, if we don't tip the scale on this maneuver, it will cause a lot of pain in other countries. It's a pretty selfish play that to make, just to retain our type of living, right? But that pressure on other countries is, I'm sure countries get pretty mad at us, and then they go to political wars, and all of a sudden you have like an oil issue, and it's like, well, where did that stem from? Well, it's because when you guys dumped all that money on the economy and you pissed us off, this is our retaliation, or we go to war or whatever it is. You always wonder like where that starts, where the seed was to cause that whole scenario to, was it this?
Different conversations we're having at our dinner tables. Like the people in power are talking about, well, do we go to war? And, we're talking about stimulus checks, right?
Right. I mean, that's, where does that ultimately, like, there's no like lack of repercussion for, what's the theory of like, for every up, there's a down, and like, there's an equal pull to an equal push. So like, it doesn't, we don't get to just deploy all this capital, save our country without, there's going to be an equal pushback, just like, the biggest crash in the world in 2008 and 2009's time took the biggest stimulus package in the world we've ever seen. So there's going to be like a biggest other side of the table, just always the balancing act of like nature and the world,
right?
The universe. So I don't know, but I like your thought though on, Facebook just leads to a place for everybody to mansplain. We just all mansplain ourselves and like tell people how it has to be. And I was thinking about that yesterday. I was on like a mastermind call with some other local entrepreneurs, and they're really good people, skilled, talented people. But I'm like, we're all just a bunch of mansplainers, and we're used to doing this. In my head is what I'm thinking. Like, because, when you have like employees and you're running a business, you're just in this world of like making decisions and then explaining yourself, this is how it works. When in reality, I'm like, I'm really tired of that in my own head. I don't want to do that. I don't want to like tell people like preach. I don't like it. And
Facebook is like the podium for that.
It's the podium for it. I'm always like, I wonder if I think when people do it, I think it's innocent. Like, I don't really think that they're thinking of it that way, but I'm like, this really is not how, it's like, hey, look, I didn't ask for your opinion in this conversation, but you've just given it to me. Right. Like, that's really what it, and then you're going to tell me this is the way it works. This is the way the world works. I don't know. I'm curious how other people think about that. It's like a weird, how do you think about that?
If we're going to go, I think it's because we are young to the internet, like as a species, right? Like, humans are pretty young to the internet, relatively speaking, in terms of the timeline of the universe, right? Like, we've only had it really at this scale for maybe 10 years, I'd probably say, right? Maybe even less. Like, yeah, Facebook, but like, talk about Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, like all those got really big over the last 10 years. So I think it's like, we're kind of like a bunch of kids or teenagers with the internet right now. I think as a society, we're just going to mature, over the next 10, 20 years, and you're going to see a lot less of that. Right now is, how long did the dinosaurs have the internet before they went extinct? Exactly. Yeah, they must have had it at least 30 years before that meteor came in.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like, if let's say the internet's been like,
what's up, Charles? Sure. What's that? Chuck, that's Chuck's comment. Chuck's watching. What up, Chuck?
Oh, nice. I don't know why I'm not seeing some of these comments. Am I getting them all?
You got to go to the live comments.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, good. How long did the dinosaurs have the internet before they were? I mean, this is a really valid point here. It's a really valid point. But I think, like, when we look at like 1,000 years of, internet, we look back and be like, man, there was this. I mean, we've basically just vomited the ability to have the entire world communicate instantly, right?
Yes.
And we put it out there. And then there was this, I still think the golden era of the internet, we're going to look back and be like, it was 10 years ago. You had big media didn't have their hands on it. There was no filter. There was no fake news, because it was just the information was there. So might have been incorrect information. Some people like had incorrect information, but it could be complete, really intelligent minds can immediately talk to each other and like advance situations. But then once people need to get control of it, and Facebook and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, once it became a money and political platform, things changed.
So, but then there's also like internet etiquette that we still like have not figured out as a species, right? Which is like, just how unbelievably nasty people can be and how people think they have the right to give their opinion. And they do have the right to give their opinions, but there's got to be like ways to evolve this that, you know, like we're going to look back and be like, man, remember those times when like people would just like go on like Twitter under somebody's account and just say the worst human possible things in the world. Like hopefully we can advance to a point where that's not happening anymore. But, you know, Chuck, that one is not making the screen. That was not making the screen. We'll go with the thumbs up.
Look at the thumbs up.
So
From Q Street, right? Q Street, the Broadway play.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, hopefully we get to get into some real time talk in the future. And the internet's thing, it's archaic in its own right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves. I'm going to jump topics back to what we initially kicked off the conversation on, of kind of recapping. I found it interesting with all of our guests that we've had on, and they've all been very successful people, and they've all gone through the 2008 crash, at least the 2008 crash. Some of them have gone through more of the crashes, like Mike McCann from the 80s. And there's two things. I mean, we don't script anything, right? We talk for like a minute prior, maybe. Sometimes they just jump in on live. And almost every single time, there's two things that come up from these people. Right now, be compassionate to people, which is check in on people. Say, hey, how you doing? How can I help you? Right? That's what everyone's doing right now. Who's successful, right? So it's not just a gimmicky thing. It's what you can do here to actually help people. You got to be genuine about it. And then two, the most important thing is your mindset right now. It's not that nobody's talking about the specifics of what you do. I mean, a little bit, right? They're saying like education, marketing, things like that. But more importantly, get your mindset right. That's what you need to be doing right now. Every single time the conversation goes to mindset. So
yeah. Like, you know, if we could, I'm going to have Jamie do this for us, but I'm going to have him put together like the like summary details of each individual successful person that we had on the show and say like, what's the commonalities? Yeah. But that's one for sure. I mean, I think you and I just from doing it every day, like it's almost like successful people just have the same successful habits is what we're, you know, and I don't think it was just like shocking, but like they're individually without watching each other saying the same thing. Because, you know, I don't think each one of them has been watching the show every day. So, but yeah, I mean, starting with like Mike McCann, it was just like everybody went through the same thing with this. The first week was party time. And then, you know, I hate myself for doing this for a week, the way I just did this. Sober up, let's go. And then get your bootstraps on. And then it was adapt my business, cut costs, change your mindset, you know, double down on marketing. All that kind of stuff has been a common theme in conversation without, you know, and I also wonder sometimes too, I don't think anybody on our show, but like sometimes I'll say something that maybe in my space that we have enough influence in like this area where it might not be like 2 or 3 months or even 2 or 3 weeks, but like there'll be a tidbit or a line that comes back that somebody says to me to tell me about something that I'm like, that's exactly what I said like 3 months ago, but in the way I said it. So I'm like, you know, you don't know how many things that Mike McCann said in that video that other people hear and then feel the need to then say they're doing that stuff because that's what they're supposed to be saying. And you only know that kind of when you hear it come back to you exactly the way you said it. So like sometimes when that'll happen with me, it'll be like, you know, literally like verbatim 3 months later, I hear, I'm like, that's how I said it. Like nobody else could have said it that way. Like the moment I said it, but I'm like, that was taken as gospel. And then it gets played, you know, telephone gets played. And then you wonder like what lasts and what doesn't and what people are actually doing versus what they say they're supposed to be doing. I'm sure the truth lies somewhere in between.
I mean, the truth is the results, I think, because if you're doing it, you will be successful and you will get out of this. And in the next recession, you'll be on the HMB show telling your story, right?
Right. Yeah. People will be coming to you for it. Yeah, that's the only way. I mean, you know, the way I look at it, like no matter what you're doing, like you can do some pretty opportunistic things right now that you can look back and say, you know, this is the moment that I'd made these changes. But honestly, I think the one mental mindset that I think people need to be focused on is learn to create self-discipline. I don't care what other steps you're taking, what other mindset it is. But I think the biggest difference, and I've always said this between maybe like, it's not because I'm smarter than anybody in terms of the way we do what we do. And, you know, I've had people say this to me. It's just like, damn, you're so consistent, you're so disciplined. And I'm like, this is a very controllable skill that it's hard, I guess, for people to do that for themselves. But that is like the one thing that I'm like, I will outlast anybody in whatever scenario it may be, because I'm just consistent and disciplined. No matter how hard something gets or no matter how good something gets, I just do this. So like developing that mindset, because you have, what is it, 28 days to create a habit? Like,
well, I think that's exactly it. You get into it. And the point of it is you created a habit out of it. So the first 28 days is what they say is if you do something every day for 28 days, you will now create a habit. And therefore on the 29th day, if you don't do it, you become uncomfortable not doing it. So discipline, people give up within the first 28 days. That's basically what it is. You need to push yourself through the first 28 days. And then all of a sudden you have a habit of discipline. And that's how you get to the point of what you're saying. Like, it doesn't take skill. Like, you're not faster, smarter, stronger in any sense to be disciplined. It's just a matter of repeating something every day. And that's why you're able to do what you do.
Developing the skill of discipline via discipline. Like, that's what you got to do right now. Like, it's a perfect opportunity without any other distractions to be like, give yourself like 5 things that you're going to do every day. And then, but don't, obviously make them good, productive things. This is how I would do it. I'm not saying this is the right answer, but make them good, productive things. But instead of focusing on like, cool, now I've implemented like, using a daily planner every day or something, make it more like the result here is that I was disciplined for 28 days. Like, focus on the fact that it was disciplined and it was consistent. And that's the impressive part, more so than the actual individual task. And then add to that is what you would do to, add another 5 things over the next, because you can prove to yourself that I can do it. I just think it's so weird because it's such a choice to, like, when people don't do it, that aren't consistent, aren't disciplined. It's like a very controllable, direct choice to make to stop doing something or to continue doing something. And it's such a, I guess the potential impact of that thing is so dramatic that it's just, it always shocks me that people that aren't as consistent and disciplined. Like, that's the sauce. That's the secret sauce, right?
I mean, I think that's why you always hear from successful people saying it was a choice. I chose to do this, right? Like, people are always like, oh, how'd you get so lucky? It's like, well, I mean, the 5 years before that lucky break was every day going to the mental gym, so to speak, right? So success is a decision away, is what they say. And I think it really is. It starts from discipline and just doing it every day. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate. It does not matter where you are in life, what you're trying to do.
And it's not like rocket science at all. Like, that's the thing. I think people are like, oh man, how does he do that? I can't do that. Like, everybody like puts their mental barrier up. I can't get, oh man, like he's so talented. He's so this, because we always see people when they're at their end destination, but like, it really just boiled down to them consistency and discipline. Like, that was it. Eventually, with all the mistakes they probably made along the way, as long as they consistently applied themselves, and then when they make a mistake, adjust, but consistently did the action, adjust, consistently did the action, they just end up winding up at the destination and they look like heroes and like some super talented, maybe it's like the athletic culture in our world that makes it look like that, because like, we athletes are so pronounced in, at least in the United States and all over the world. But you look at an athlete and you're like, nothing I could have done to get to that point. Like, I don't care how many times I shot a basketball. The dude is like 7 foot and, can jump 6 feet in the air. Like, can't do it. So maybe you get this thought process in your head that like, there's this like separation of humans because of athletics, because of physical prowess. But like the brain, I feel like brains in general are way closer as a species than I'm sure we have like,
even if they're not, like, even because the common phrase of what are you, a rocket scientist, or doesn't take a rocket scientist, right? So I think your point is like, you're almost brainwashed in a way to feel inferior,
right?
In certain ways. Yeah. But the truth is, like, even if, okay, so maybe you wouldn't like Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player. I think most people know he is gigantic, almost 8 foot basketball player. I'm probably not going to be able to out rebound him or out dunk him. Probably not. But if I stick with basketball my entire life, stay focused, stay disciplined, dribble every day, shoot every day, you know what I might be able to do? I might be able to outshoot him from the 3-point line.
Right.
So I may not be able to challenge people in their given strength, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't pursue a dream. It just means I'm going to have to do it differently.
Differently, right? Yeah, differently. Like there's somewhere there's a place for you, and it's definitely not because I don't know. I just don't think it. The thought in my head that I've always had is if one other person did this, I don't understand why I can't. Like that's always what I've thought in my head. It's just like if one other human being was able to do this. Now some people are like, well, if you could be the first human being if you want to like be more bold about my statement. My thought is like, okay, cool, I get it. You could be the first. But my thought that like I can settle on in my brain is if this has been done before even one time, I don't understand why I'm not capable of that particular thing. Like explain to me why I'm not. And then if that's a better reason, then I'd be like, all right, yeah, cool, I can. For instance, like out rebounding Shaq, you'd be like, it's a pretty logical explanation, like 8 feet tall, talented, blah, blah, blah. Okay, makes sense. But like from a business perspective or like an achievement thing with your brain, it's more like, I don't know, the dude built a business. I don't understand. Like we have the same 4 limbs, same brain to some extent.
You don't even really need the limbs. And there's people with literally half a brain. Like, there's people who have brain damage or only born with half their brain and are more successful than people with all these quote requirements that you need to be successful.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's a self-limitation for sure.
Self-limitation, yeah. That's usually the message I think we consistently hear, even from all of our guests. We know people outside this industry that are very successful as well. But just the message that everyone's been seeing every day on this show has just been mindset. There's just nothing else that matters.
Mm-hmm.
You will find a way.
And I like Mark Evans' stuff yesterday on, he's got a really good perspective on just like, I forget what I said, something to this, but he's like, yeah, we like all of our limitations are self-created, every one of them. And it's a good point because you just like get this idea in your head of what you're not capable of as opposed to what you are capable of. And then you just lock onto that. And it's like a self-defeating or a self-imposing thing. Now I know in general, like society, breeds us to feel that way or to do that. Like, it's not like you're going through school and everybody the whole time they're going, you're going to be the greatest. You're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to do that. It's more like, you get your 9 to 5, you retire, you hopefully move up, that's the whole, how we're bred. And if you're bred the opposite way, you get guys like Tiger Woods. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever like read or heard about Tiger Woods, but like from an early age, he was told he's the greatest. He will be the greatest. And like, granted, I'm sure there's a lot of kids that get told that along the way growing up as well. And they either crack under pressure or whatever. So it's like, takes a special case of like ability to handle that mentally, the mental capacity and all that. But like, he had no mental limitations put on him by his structure. And you have the greatest golfer debatably to ever live. And, how many of those people would have existed or competed for that moment if their mind wasn't restricted?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
I mean, the more this information gets out, though, the more I think you will see more Tiger Woods level people in the future, right? In the next 30, 40 years. Because maybe I'm biased just because I surround myself with this type of information, but I do feel like this information is way more public than pretty much ever in history because of the internet, probably, and platforms such as this, right? Like 10 years ago, if you felt like you had an opinion, you wanted people to know about it, you'd be like, all right, how do I get onto Fox News or CNN? Because that's the only way my message is getting out.
Yeah. I guess it's that the whole woke movement is it fits somewhere in being woke. Is that
yeah. the spiritual awakening? Maybe I don't know, but I do think we're gonna see a pretty big shift in terms of successful people over the next 30 years or so, just because our mindsets are being prepared right away.
I think more people are downloading the path to success into their brain via faster information of the internet. Like that's happening, like the course and like the direction and like the at some point you could probably just write it in a course you know, if you structure it well enough, maybe it's already been done, but like you could literally make a course out of like this path due to all the, all right, we've accumulated all the information of the internet, you know, from successful people. Here's the $197 course, and you can upsell it for like extra success for like $20, you know, but like I wouldn't be surprised if you see that. But then again, it comes down to step one of like buying that course is the ability to be disciplined and execute.
And finishing the course. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Cause,
most people probably buy the course and
right. And
not even
buying that course and then not doing anything with it is through the roof. Right. That's kind of a joke on the whole course. Yeah. But it's like, you know, a system is only as good as the people that implement it. And, you know, so that's, I think it's like a common software thing. Does that sound right, Ryan? You would know that. Like that's a big understanding with like software development in general, that you can have the greatest piece of software, but if nobody's using the damn thing or knows how to use it, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, the statement is true, but I thought that was
a true statement. Yeah.
Widely accepted or like known thought process in software development. Probably more in like the implementation of like, what is it, like IBM's like SAP and stuff, like when they're coming in to implement software, they've got to make sure that you not only take the great software they have, but you've got to use it. So we have to train you. We have to make sure you guys are consistently using it and stuff like that. So I'm sure it's probably more in that world. But like the same thing holds true for anything. Like here's the great idea, right? What are you gonna do with it? Like
the information's out there. That's not really the issue. It's the are you gonna use it? They say knowledge is power, but that's only true if you use it, right? So knowledge is not power. Knowledge is power if you use it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, now right. I'm trying to. How would you rephrase that? Knowledge, under use. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a clever way, like a one word change that would change the whole meaning of that, or the whole missing part of that statement. Because it is true. Like knowledge is not right. Knowledge isn't power. It's the use of knowledge. The use of knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as sexy, but
it's in there somewhere.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? What have you been noticing from like the lending perspective? I got about maybe a few more minutes. I got to wrap this up. But what are you noticing from the lending perspective? I'm still getting a constant phone call of like the majority of the first calls I get are you guys still lending? And you know, and then I get the everybody else shut down comment. Are you getting that pretty much this week too?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the other lenders out there that are trying to stay in business, whether it's a California lender or something like that, they were just dragging people along, saying, "Yeah, we'll be good to go in 2 weeks. Just wait for this to come out." And I think what's happening is time's up.
And talking about this, I think last week or something on the show.
Yeah, and it's just we're getting solid borrowers, people with good credit, great experience, being like, this other lender is just dragging me along. Like, can you do this or not? And honestly, I think a lot of people don't believe us right now because they think we're just going to be another lender that's dragging them along.
The confidence and trust in our industry has been shot in the foot for sure. Like, people are like, I mean, when it first happened, I had a couple borrowers try to nicely contact me and be like, out of nowhere, that we had some deals that were closing, and they were like, reconfirming closing for like that day. And I'm like, if you're asking me if I have funds, my answer is yes. Like, just ask. But like, they were just, scared. So the confidence in the industry has been shaken quite a bit. I also think, Jay made a pretty strong prediction on the course of what has to happen. So right now it comes, the world of hard money was like, 10-in-1 money. And it was cheap, and, people were like, this is the new norm. This is what we pay. And so our prices were a little bit higher, and people would say, well, we can't pay that. It wasn't the norm. Well, then the 10-in-1 got shut down, and you have borrowers that were looking at that. And then all of a sudden, some of them have still not come around. I think what you're going to see, and there's also more cash at closing. I mean, they're finding that out now. I mean, even the guys that are trying to get proposals, the other companies that are trying to, stay alive and get proposals, they're now expecting the kind of cash to close that we have always expected. Like, there's no more of this, like, I had a guy yesterday that said he was going to bring $9,000 to the table on a deal. And I'm like, dude, I can't even look at this. And, that's going to change. So I think over the next 30 days, 45 days, like Jay said, you're really, high caliber borrowers are going to be realizing that, okay, it takes some real liquidity. I can't do 10 deals at a time right now because I don't have the liquidity to do that. But this is the only, there's just not cheap, low risk money on the table anymore. It doesn't exist. So I think we'll see that coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to have the decision. Like, you either freeze your business completely, or you move what you can right now with everyone else. I mean, that's just it.
Yeah, that's what people are doing. I think people are going to use this time. I mean, people are trying to figure out how to, not necessarily make money right now, but not lose money and keep the wheels turning. I think a lot of businesses are in that mode right now for the ones that didn't get wiped out in a week. So I think it'll be a little bit of a grind for them while this goes on, because I don't think, they're not going to be breaking any records financially, which is fine. And it's a valiant effort. It's probably, but I do think what's going to happen is they're going to have to make some sacrifices in what they're used to in order to keep the wheels turning. And then, because what I just saw a post there, I don't know if you've seen this, but the SBA loan program
dried out
of money. Yeah. So the $10,000 that everybody is receiving or not receiving is gone already. Like, gosh, like this is gonna be a logistical nightmare. This money is.
I mean, that was always going to be a drop in the bucket. It was just that way to appease people while they
it was
give $1 trillion elsewhere.
Yeah, like there's gonna be some wild stuff over the next 6 months of like misallocations, underestimated amounts of funding for different things, and it will make or break Trump getting into office for sure, if he's really gonna run it. I guess he's still running, so yeah, he's still running, but it'll make or break because of like, and the timing is really interesting. He's like all in on this scenario in terms of like the moves that are being made, right? Because it lines right up to election time. So he's either going to look like a hero, he's going to tout himself a hero, whether he is or not is up to people to decide. But he's going to tout himself a hero running into November, and then you're going to look at the last 6 months and go, what happened? And I don't know. Like nobody knows how that's going to play out. Like this could all be gone tomorrow. Economy could be at the new high. Like what if the stock market does go through the new highs leading into November, even with all the stimulus money floating around there, everybody got their money back from the IRAs, everybody's feeling good again. Like what if that happens? That you can't beat that in the race. You're going to be like, I just saved you guys from the most difficult thing you've ever been through.
Yeah, everybody would have forgotten about COVID already. I mean, actually, I was just watching a kind of a parody on 2020, and they were mentioning how there's massive wildfires in Australia that we all really cared about in the beginning of January. That was this year. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And now it's like, what? I forgot about that.
The fires? Yeah, I swear it's the reason sports were created for society. Is it just gives this and the same thing with holidays. It gives you something else to think about. Like, why do these things exist? It gives society something else to think about, to like move their attention to. And it's like Mark Evans said yesterday, he's like, the sleight of hand happening in the economy right now is off the charts, right? He's like, the transfer of wealth, look over here while we do this over here, is, equal in size and like magnitude to the issue at hand. And that's the same thing. So like sports in general, like the NFL is, important to the United States, not because of, it's because it's something to talk about that when something else is happening over here. So like the wildfires, unfortunately, their distraction was COVID, and now people aren't thinking about the wildfires, but thinking about COVID. And then, but all you need to do now is like do something like collapse the economy, like bury the dollar. And, all of a sudden people are going to be out and about, and everybody's gonna be like, man, is anybody actually still getting sick anymore? What's going on with that whole COVID thing? Like, right. Yeah. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because it would take something of that magnitude to distract people from this at the moment.
Yeah, once the wealth is transferred, I think we'll see some normalcy.
I think it might have happened. I mean,
might have already happened. Yeah, probably did actually.
Freed the whales from 2018 that we were talking about, right? They have been free. They officially went down to that number, and then we got into the key areas. I have not looked at. Oh no, I did. I'm sorry. I looked at the Dow Jones yesterday, and I go, oh man, we're in the 25 range. Remember? And long story short, but there was 2 critical areas to decide if we were going to like really go down in a traditional fashion, or if this could be a true correction and we go right back up. We crossed the downside threshold of where I thought we were, if it's going to happen, it would happen somewhere around here. and we hung there for like a week, and then we've now gone up into the area that essentially fails the sellers. So the bears of the economy are in trouble right now. That were I've seen on some of the like posts that, and it's not funny actually, but guys that went all in on the bear move, and they lost their shirt overnight, like because the market reversed on them. I'm not saying it can't still happen. I'm just saying in a traditional alarm status of technical analysis on the chart, it appeared that if you got above between 21 and 23, if you were at 21 and 23 and it went back down, you were in trouble, real trouble. If it got above 23 into the 25 range, which I think is where we are, I think we're at like 24 something yesterday or whatever.
Yeah, we're 23,500 right now.
Right. I think it went up to like 24 something yesterday.
I think so. Yeah, it's been like very slight down the last 2 days. So
it really climbs and stays above that 24, 25, 26. If it gets into that, it doesn't have to go to 29 again, but if it gets into that territory of like 24, 25, 26, Trump's going to have a good election. That's what'll happen. Like, there's just, the timing is wild how that lines up. Like, you wonder how much of an accident it is, or somebody capitalizing an opportunity, or how much of it's by design. I have no idea. Josh
just said conspiracy theorists, and Josh, man, this isn't even scratching the surface of conspiracies we could go down.
Well, Josh knows some of our bonkersness.
He knows the wild ones, yeah. Right.
Some of them, yeah. I have another buddy watching this probably online, or he probably saw this. But like, yeah, some mind blowing stuff for sure. I know Josh knows. Josh has been to. I don't know how much of he read, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, we're nut jobs for sure. So, all right. Let me wrap it up today. Nobody wanted to join us. That's crazy. It was free marketing. And if somebody jumped on here with their company, not only would they have free marketing on here, but they would also then at some point in the next 6 months have a video that goes out to like hundreds of thousands of people. And you're not taking advantage of the moment at hand. Because what the hell else are you doing right now? What are you doing? Like, what, you are locked in your house. Like, what are you doing? How are you not on this show right now?
Shameless self-promotion being allowed right now.
I know. It's not
100,000 people.
Like, gosh damn. Anyways, all right. So Josh will probably have a show coming up later today. If anybody wants to tune into him, it's a good one. He has some good interviews as well. I'm not sure if it's today, but I saw it earlier. Josh, when's your next show? Somebody says, I watched you, missed your calling. You should have a talk show. It's got to start somewhere. This is it right here. So when you come back to this moment and this comment, and when we have a talk show, you're looking at, the origin story right here, this comment. Josh, you want to post before we jump off? 1 p.m. today. All right. So Josh Weidman, if you don't follow him or Hard Money Bankers Central PA, jump on at 1 o'clock today with Josh, and he has some players in the marketplace. So 1 p.m. Josh Weidman or Hard Money Bankers Central PA. Let's wrap it up, right?
Cool. I got nothing. I'm looking forward to next week. Got Alan Dom, a couple other people in the real estate world. So make sure you guys tune in. It's gonna be a good week.
Sounds good. Later.